In this short presentation on the philosophy of image, I will be drawing on the thoughts of Roland Barthes and Jean Baudrillard, and I will be looking at various clippings from magazines and newspapers in this context. And so first I'll begin with a look at some traditional aspects, or some aspects of the traditional image. So here to begin, we have a realistic painting, I guess somewhat typical of, I guess you would call it, classical European art. And the idea here is that the artist is trying to capture the real person by painting the person in a realistic style. We have similar attempts even today with photography, where we're seeing people portrayed in a realistic sort of setting, and well, maybe not a realistic setting, but we're supposed to take this to be a picture of a woman in the middle of her day. But in both cases, the reality, or the real, is actually not really being conveyed successfully or completely. In this case, if this woman was in front of a painter, she would have been for a few hours, and so it's not like we would have actually seen this. Same thing with this photo. This is obviously a woman in front of a photographer. So again, the reality, or the real, is somehow not being captured completely. And so that's why we see in other forms of expression or art that the figures are painted in a surreal or artificial or unrealistic manner to evoke a sense or an emotion or an aesthetic impression of the actual real person, or the real feeling, or the real situation. So we're now being now the viewer is being active in producing the impression of reality, and somewhat similarly here in traditional forms of art, as in this dance. You can see that the expression is stylized. They are not even trying to be real, but rather both the artist and the viewer is completely conscious of the illusion, and however a sense of reality or of some conveyed meaning is being experienced in an effective way. Now let's look at some ways that our artists or designers try to escape the limitations of the image. And so one very, aside from stylism and surreal portrayals, we can just simply get rid of the background, create an artificial setting. And so even though there's a nice little breeze blowing on this person's hair, as if the window's open or something, this setting is obviously artificial, and so it conveys a sense that this could be any setting. This could be your house. This could be anytime, anywhere. And these are ideas more, I know, from Deleuze, but nonetheless, this is a way of escaping the limitations of the image. And once again, we are conscious of the illusion, and we can take it a bit further by inserting a completely artificial background, something that's become stylized in a new way, something that's obviously not even trying to be at all real. It's rather more performative or theatrical, and so what we're left with is a hyper reality, an overbearing awareness of the illusion, and as a result, the viewer's eye cannot really sit on the image or stay on the image, but rather has to jump from meaning to understanding to idea to impression, and so the viewer cannot stay still for very long, because they're constantly dealing with this sort of inner experience. And so in this case, the real is completely forgotten. It's not even an issue anymore. Rather, we're reaching for something beyond the real. And here we have an example of a sort of blatant play on the unreality, where we have a frame in a frame, a person holding an empty frame, and so this is, and again the background is completely missing, and And so we're left with really a very overbearing awareness of the illusion, once again something that is hyper-real. And I know that Spike Lee has made great use of this device in his movie on Hurricane Katrina, in which the well-being and voice of the residents of New Orleans was completely forgotten by much of the media, the government, and its operations. The reality was completely forgotten, and their sufferings were made innocuous in the worst of it. And so by presenting their testimonies within the sort of a picture frame, within the movie frame, a hyper-real tension is created, pushing us to want to forget again, or to dismiss the presentation as fake, or to just consume the image and move on. But it's an impossible thing for us to do, given the depth and the intensity of their testimonies. And so, like a double negative, instead of forgetting the real, that was in this case already forgotten in what actually happened, the reality is restored. And so it was a very effective device in that movie. Now this last image I'll be looking at deals with sort of the lie that an image can convey. Here we have a clipping from an ad. It's unimportant what the ad is about specifically, but we see a strong, a very bold image of athleticism and victory. We have the winner of the race, in this case, wearing Chinese colors. Looks like a person of Chinese origin winning the race. And so there's an immediate, rapid-fire comprehension and consumption of the image, of the message of the image. However, if we look a little closer at the image, we can see there are some problems. For one, we can see that these athletes are in the sun, they're outdoors, whereas this one is obviously somebody taken in a photo was taken of this person in a studio, and we can even see the shadow has been added digitally afterward. And so this is a forgery in a sense. We're not actually seeing an image of anything real whatsoever. And if we look a little more closely, we can see there isn't even a hurdle in this lane. It's actually, in a sense, showing what somebody who would cheat in this sort of a race to come in first place, could or might do, which is not have any hurdles. And so it's a complete opposite of an image of victory. It's an image of failure, of dishonesty and cheating and things of that nature. And so overall, if we look at our world, which is saturated with hundreds of images daily, day and night, what happens is that there is we're bombarded with all of these ideas, all of these images, and all of them are merely simulations. Nothing is a complete portrayal of reality, and so as a result we become, in a sense, impotent in that the images that we use to understand ourselves and our world become stunted, and so we can become perhaps blind to what are the real things that are happening in this world, such as, for example, the genocides and the tragedies in Darfur, which aren't really getting that much media attention, and which can, in a sense, fly under the radar or be swept under the carpet. And so that would be the end of this presentation, and I hope that you cultivate and continue an interest in philosophy. Thank you.